This is Business LO, a podcast by the Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce, which connects, educates, advocates, and champions our business community. We have nearly 500 members from international corporations to home-based businesses, and we serve them all. Each episode of Business LO gives insider information to the local business community and the neighbors who support them. And now, let's talk Business LO.
Today is November 4th, 2025, and this episode will be published on December 1st, 2025. And we're sitting down with the Lake Oswego Chamber's very own Matt Evans. He's the Chief of Economic Development and Business Research, and he also handles membership services as well. We're going to discuss economic development, and Matt has some very interesting statistics on new businesses, not just chamber members, but all LO businesses. Running the interview is our perpetual queen of positivity, Heather Graves Ramsey, owner of Coach to Brilliance. She specializes in executive coaching and leadership development. And of course, everyone's favorite chamber CEO, Liz Hartman, has the insider scoop with what you need to know in LO. And I'm Michelle Odell, and let's get going, Heather.
Let's get going. Positiveness. Yeah. I'm going to go with it. Yeah. I'm actually really interested in what we're talking about today because I think even as a board member, sometimes it's not totally clear all the things that you do. And I know there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, but if you can help us with, you're really the link that links us with the city and so I would love to learn a little bit more about what you're doing, how the chamber is working with the city in order to help with the economic development piece.
Sure. Yeah. Just a little history. The city previously had an economic development department. It closed it down 10 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that, but realized over time that they had become a little bit disconnected from what was happening in the business community. And it's not hard to understand as an elected official, you probably want to know what's happening in the business community. We're fortunate in Lake Oswego in that we have a city council that is made up of a number of small business owners. So they're going to kind of instinctively understand what they should or shouldn't be messing around with as far as regulations and the code goes with regard to business. But the city decided to develop a program where there would be some economic development pieces. And Liz worked with them to help develop that program and then also to bring the chamber in as the deliverer to the city of what they were looking for as far as economic development goes. And we have a fairly wide-ranging portfolio. It's not super specific, which is valuable to me because it means that if I see something interesting, I can go look at it as opposed to not being allowed to go look at it or something like that. The city is very intellectually curious. The staff and the city councilors are all very intellectually curious about what's happening in this city. And that's a real value, I think, to the voters and residents of the city of Lake Oswego. So we look at all kinds of things. We look at new businesses. We look at existing businesses. We try to find out where we can about things like employment. Are people looking to hire additional employees? Are they having problems finding certain kinds of employees? We also look at some of the demographic issues around businesses and the city in general. How many businesses do we have? What kind of businesses do we have? Are there areas where we could develop additional businesses? We're also a resource under our agreement with the city for businesses that are seeking perhaps to locate in Lake Oswego or businesses that are already in Lake Oswego that might want to find a bigger space to do their business in. And so we keep track of available properties, available office spaces. Lake Oswego doesn't have a lot of industrial or manufacturing property, but sometimes a warehouse will come open and we'll be able to promote that a little bit in case there's someone that's looking for an additional space like that. So it's a pretty wide-ranging portfolio, and I'm really pleased to be part of it.
It's such a great service, and you can't run a city and not know what's going on. And so I love that they realize that and can see. And I feel like the chamber also, not only with the data portion, but also just in general, we're out there, we're talking to those businesses, and so we can be a bit of a temperature gauge for the city on what some of those pieces are. What's coming to mind is trends. So what are some of the trends? I know you mentioned office space and stuff like that. Maybe start there, but if there's other trends, we'd love to hear those too.
Well, there's something really interesting going on in office space in general. Anybody that's followed the headlines knows that after COVID, there was a real rush to the work at home movement, where office space, people didn't want to go into office space anymore. They wanted to stay home, and we found out that people can work from anywhere if they have the right kind of a job. So you were no longer sort of tied to any geographic location. Well, that's not surprisingly had some follow-on effects within the economy, where you've seen office buildings that, previously were extremely valuable suddenly have their value cut by a third. You've had occupancy rates for office space in some jurisdictions plummet, and that has affected also other businesses in the area. People, when they work in an office downtown, maybe they go out to lunch, maybe they have some coffee, maybe they go out afterwards to have a drink or dinner or whatever. If you're not in your previous office, maybe that's not happening anymore. And so there's been a general kind of negative effect of this. Now, there's a little bit of a reversal going on in that people are starting to now, in some cases, demand that their employees come back to the office when that's necessary. Personally, I don't see us returning to full
occupancy,
office employment all the time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we look at is office vacancy rates, both in downtown Lake Oswego and out in the Cruz Way area. And I can tell you that our office space is healthier than some other areas around the metro. The vacancy rate in downtown is about 4.5%, which is small and very small.
I was going to say,
number.
what's a normal?
Yeah, that's way below. And for example, Cruz Way Meadows, which is a different kind of office space than we have in downtown, is about 24% or 26%, depending
because it's
on
larger businesses, they have more employees, that kind of thing. Whereas the spaces downtown seem a little smaller.
Right. As you can imagine, that creates a tremendous amount of competition for spaces in downtown Lake Oswego, which is one of the reasons why it's a little more expensive than some other places might be to locate. But that doesn't seem to have impacted formation of business very much at all in Lake Oswego.
Tell me more about that.
Sure. Well, I'm pleased to tell you that through the first 10 months of 2025, we've had 275 new businesses register with the city of Lake Oswego. Now, that's a gross number, not a net number. There are businesses that have closed down, left Lake Oswego in recent months, but we have a very vibrant and healthy growth in new businesses, people wanting to try to make a go of it in Lake Oswego, which is where you want to be. Obviously,
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
You don't want businesses closing and no new businesses opening up. So that's been a very, very positive, and we track that on a regular basis. We hold events quarterly for all of the new business licensees in the city and bring them into a kind of a network, a mini networking, if you will, where they can learn more, not only about the Chamber of Commerce, although it's not a join the chamber event, but also learn more about how the city works with business. And Megan Phelan, the assistant city manager, has been very generous with her time. She's shown up at, I think, every one of these when she could show up to talk with the business folks that show up. And the other good thing about it, the networking piece of it that's interesting, is you have a room full of people, and we had 15, I think, last week here at the office, who are all kind of at the same place in their business lives. So they have a ton in common and can discuss problems they might be having with other people that may be facing the same problem, may have already solved that problem for their business. Right. So there's a real opportunity for them to get to know each other in that way.
I love it. So every new business is invited. They should be looking out for that invitation. But I've attended
Absolutely.
before, and I've attended a lot of them, and I actually have learned a ton every time about the city, about even the chamber too. And I feel like I could be considered an expert at the chamber. And so I think they're really great events for new people to just understand what their resources are and how to get those resources. Is
Well, and
really
we learn things too. It's like, what difficulties did they have in sort of spooling up to the point where they're ready to launch their business? And are there places we might be able to be involved to help smooth over some of those rough spots?
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about there's been more businesses. I'm curious from last year or the years past, is that number much, much greater? Is it like 10% greater?
No,
Is
it's about the same, I would
Nice.
say,
Okay.
which is good. I mean, currently there's a ton of uncertainty in the economy.
Mhm.
So, the fact that you're even treading water is a positive. And we haven't seen much of a fall off in important areas. In fact, we've seen an increase in payrolls for businesses located in Lake Oswego. So that's obviously very positive. With the same number of businesses, we're still increasing payroll.
And so they're either growing or paying more. I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Starting a business is an incredibly difficult undertaking. And you see that every place. It has nothing to do with
It's
any
not like
local
Oswego.
issue.
It's just
No,
this
it's
is
not.
how it goes. Yeah.
It's just hard. I mean, you have to have the right idea at the right time for the right product or service that you're
Yeah.
wanting to offer. And it's
And the right people working it too.
exactly.
That's sometimes the case. And I do feel like the people that come in and use those resources tend to do really well. So we've talked a little bit about closures and openings. Is there anything else there that's important for us to cover?
One of the things I would just encourage listeners on is the whole buy local idea. So one of the ways to keep a business from closing that you like is to utilize the business.
Yeah.
So, we really encourage people to think about that as they're looking at whatever purchase it might be that they're interested in. They should think about, is there a local business that provides this service or provides this product that I could use, rather than driving to some other community entirely to purchase it, or worse yet, in terms of local business, ordering it over the internet, which is, of course, a giant competitor to any business that provides a product particularly. Think about how you can be community-minded in that way and, think globally but shop locally.
Our city really does know and understand the importance of having business, because when you have thriving businesses, you have a thriving community, right? We have all the different components, the education, the safety, but business is a huge part of that. And it does help bring in the people that we want to have here.
Absolutely. I think we have a very healthy office environment. We have low vacancy rates, and the only question I have sort of in the longer term is, I know that in other jurisdictions, there are leases that companies have for office space that they can't afford to get out of. And so they have no one working at the building, but they can't, it's more expensive for them to get out of the lease than just pay the lease cost for the next 16 months or 8 months or
Did
whatever
not know
it
that.
is.
Okay. Yeah.
So the question then is going to be, do we have some of that here out in the Cruiseway Meadows area? And are there going to be businesses that are going to end up moving that we currently list as a business in a building?
Right. So it might be more than the 24% or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And so the question is going to be, how many new tenants can we bring in to fill up any office space that comes available? Now, I will also say we've had very positive interest in buildings in that area. We had both Directors Mortgage and Hoffman Construction purchase buildings in that part of town, what we at the Chamber refer to as the West End, which includes Meadows and Cruz and Center Point and Westlake and Bangy Road. So it's obvious that there is interest and demand in locating in that area. Despite whatever's going on in the general office market, that's been a very positive thing.
And people have been moving here. So,
Yes.
or like companies have been moving their
Yes.
businesses here. So
Correct.
that's always a good sign too.
If you do business in Lake Oswego, you can be located here, you can be located somewhere else, but want to do business here, you need to be licensed through the city of Lake Oswego. Now, I will say that not every business, even located in Lake Oswego, is licensed with the city. This city primarily runs on a complaint-based system where they don't have people going out to try to find people who are violating this or that code. They respond to the public calling in and saying, hey, by the way, this guy's got a sign that shouldn't be there, or whatever it might be. If you look at the state of Oregon's corporation list, they have about 1,000 more businesses that they say are located in our two zip codes here, 97034, 97035, than have active business licenses. So the question becomes, where are those businesses and why don't they have business licenses? Now, it's possible that they just don't know that they're supposed to have one. That's
right. There's a lot of home-based businesses that may not even know.
Yep. No, that's exactly right. We have a tremendous number of home-based businesses. I think there's more than 500 in Lake Oswego.
That are licensed?
Yes, that are licensed. Yeah. And then I'm sure there are others, there have to be, that just don't know. So it's not a malfeasance or anything on their part. It's just ignorance of what they need to accomplish there.
Okay. Well, I'm curious about what types of businesses we have, small, large, if there's a particular industry or two that are striking here in Lake Oswego.
Well, I can tell you that Lake Oswego is a small business community. Over 97% of the businesses in this city have 50 or fewer employees. Now, you typically will see small business defined as 100 or fewer. That's almost everybody, which I guess 97% is almost everybody anyway. But we have 97% of our businesses are small businesses. Now, so there's another good connection with the city council on it because they're small business owners. They understand, oh, okay, we know what they're going through. So we're going to be careful when we come out with additional regulations or what have you.
What are the types of businesses that
we have? One of the largest categories has to do with construction, either commercial or residential, construction or remodeling, or businesses that service them. It's almost 10% of the licensed businesses have some connection. So, like an HVAC contractor or something like that. But also the people that do the actual construction of commercial buildings or residential buildings. They're one of the big ones. Not surprisingly, we have plenty of doctors and dentists and other people in the healthcare field, particularly mental health. We have a very strong group of firms in Lake Oswego that are trying to help deal with mental health questions. Obviously, lots of restaurants, tons of retail businesses, particularly in the downtown area along Boone's Ferry. So, we have a very vibrant business community with lots of different kinds of businesses located here.
Do the nonprofits, I'm assuming, have to get their business license as well?
They do.
What's the layout of nonprofit category? Like how many of those do we have
I believe we have about 53 or something like that total. Wow. And there's obviously tons of need and people recognize the need and they're servicing it.
So we have the home-based businesses, a lot of small businesses. How many total do we have in the city?
Almost 2,000.
Wow.
Have business licenses in Lake Oswego.
And then there's another potential of the 1,000, that are listed on the state sites.
Right. Lots of business management consulting firms, plenty of financial firms. You're all aware that we have wealth management, some really excellent wealth management firms.
We do really have a wide mix of the retail pieces and like you said, the office businesses.
Anything you want, you're likely to be able to find it here.
Yeah. How many people live and work here? Out of the people that work here, are they living here or are they commuters?
They're almost all commuters. I believe it's about 75% of the folks that work in Lake Oswego live someplace else. And interestingly enough, the same is true of people that live here. They typically don't work here in Lake Oswego. They travel to one of our surrounding communities for their job. Primarily Portland, that's the largest percentage, but they're everywhere working. For me, for government, that informs decisions on things like transportation. If we've got all these people that are coming into town and all these people that are going out of town every single day of the week on the work days, we probably need to think about that. How are we going to get those people in? How are we going to get others out? It's obviously mostly personal automobiles at the moment. We don't have particularly positive TriMet service to the area. One of the things that's happening I'm kind of excited about is some of the new affordable housing units that are going in down on Boones Ferry Road. And the question is going to be whether or not we can help those fill with people who work here, which would be a real benefit to the businesses in Lake Oswego, rather than they're trying to find employees who are willing to travel here to work. People could afford to live here and work here. That would be a real positive, I think, for business.
Absolutely. What am I not asking you that I should?
Maybe where we can improve things.
Yeah.
I would say that the one area that we could improve is to look at something like an incubator site for light manufacturing businesses. We have a really fascinating business that's located just down the street here that uses a 3D printer to make a device that allows you to monitor if you've got an elderly parent or some other person that you need to check in on a regular basis. They use this 3D printer and they create these devices that allow that to happen. So you don't need like giant industrial parks or anything like that. You just need an appropriate space. I've talked to commercial real estate agents that say what you guys should look at, places where it can be really small and not very expensive, where they can kind of get things kicked off and do kind of almost like a proof of concept idea for them.
Yeah.
Matt, the one business that we hear about that we don't have is men's ready-to-wear clothes.
Oh, yeah.
We have special clothes, but there are no men's ready-to-wear clothes in Lake Oswego.
Well, you told me, Liz, the old joke used to be you can't buy a pair of men's slacks in Lake Oswego or something like that.
Can't. We just have stuff for women. All right. Well, maybe we need to get on that. That's important. We have a lot of men here, too. We don't want to discriminate shopping-wise.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
We're business-friendly for women, so...
Yeah, what is the percentage of... I feel like there's a lot of women-owned businesses, but what's the percentage?
It's very significant. We have almost 500 businesses that are owned by women.
Wow.
75 of those are minority women. And the amazing thing about this statistic is it's not a complete list, because the city did not start asking for this information until 2021. Businesses that are older, that have been around a while and registered previously with the city, they don't catch up later, unfortunately. We've encouraged them to consider doing that so that we have a full list.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, since in 4.5 years, we've had 500 women-owned businesses come to Lake Oswego.
What makes Lake Oswego so women-friendly?
Some of it's the safety piece, I would say, where you're not worried about some of the things you might be worried about in other jurisdictions as far as your personal safety or your business safety goes. It has also become, because of the internet, much easier to run a business out of your house. And we talked about home-based businesses previously. If you need to stay home, if your kids are under school age or you need to be there when they return home from school, it's easy to run a business out of your house over the internet. And I think that has helped to diversify that quite a bit.
And people move here for the schools, so that makes sense too. Like, so
absolutely.
Have people who are interested in still doing stuff, but still being available. One question that I would like to ask, thinking of leasing, I'm a business, I'm leasing. What are some things length of leases or what should I be asking or looking for if I'm looking to come lease here?
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the real things you need to know, especially if you're looking to lease in downtown Lake Oswego, there's very little reason why any landlord would want to cut you any kind of a break. When you've got a 4% vacancy rate, you don't
Demand
have
is
to
high.
worry about it. We've heard stories of businesses whose leases have come up for renewal and the landlord has insisted on a 10-year lease. Wow. That's a big commitment. Now, in this particular case, that company could probably realize, well, we're probably going to be here in 10 years, so they wouldn't not do it just because of the length of the thing. But that's a big commitment.
That is.
That's the main caution I would have about it, is you have to understand that landlords are looking to lock people up. And some of this is an outgrowth of COVID, where a lot of people went out of business, a lot of people didn't come back, and so forth. And so the landlords are trying to figure that out. I don't know how long that's going to last, but right now that appears to be kind of the trend, is that we're seeing requests for much longer leases than people are used to having to sign.
But that's not saying there aren't still 5-year leases.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just something you need to be aware.
Well,
Thank you.
Matt, thank you so much for being here. I see you all the time at the chamber office. You're a delight.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying myself a great deal.
And it's probably because you get to work with Liz every day. Yeah.
Absolutely. No question about
Well,
it.
thank you so much. All right, Liz, it's time. I mean, we're in December already. I can't believe it. Let's talk about what we need to know in LO.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's start out with reflecting on the tree lighting. And we are really thrilled to thank the businesses that made this possible. That was Nicoletta's Table, CLA, On Point Community Credit Union, Lakeside Heating and Cooling, and Gracious Care Hospice. Then we need to congratulate Travel and Cruise Desk on 60 years in Lake Oswego. They were also a bronze sponsor for the tree lighting. We have the holiday party coming up at the Iron Light, and thank you to Iron Light and Beacon for putting this party on. It's Wednesday, December 10th from 5 to 8 p.m. Your $50 fee covers your appetizers, music, and a glass of wine, and every additional glass is $5. We already have sponsors, Beacon and Iron Light, but we also have Marcia Keys, A.Y. Meisner, and Fisher Family Law to help keep our costs low. This is a great party, and it is beautiful at the top of Iron Light. Now is the time to plan your marketing for 2026. We have so many members available to help you get a new headshot, a new corporate logo, a refresh on your website, or just great consultation on social and print media. You can go to the Chamber website and pull up the directory. And then networking is a great way to know other business owners in Lake Oswego. We'll continue on Fridays nearly to the end of the year in December, but mark your calendar for Friday, January 9th, when you can learn all about how to network. It's a multi-chamber event with the Tigard and Tualatin Chambers of Commerce, and you can watch the newsletter for more information. And at the very end of all this, you've already heard Matt talk about shopping local. We have the Lake Oswego Review with the whole Shop Local campaign through December. So don't forget, love Lake Oswego and shop local.
Yes.
Come join us for the Mayor's Business Breakfast. It's on Friday, January 30th. You will need reservations for that one. It did sell out last year. We can take up to 100 people for this one. And it is a great way to hear about what the mayor and the city are thinking about for business in 2026. A lot of you know that the city puts their priorities together, and our city council has a number of business people on city council. They do pay attention to what's going on in the business community, and it's a great opportunity to see some of the folks from the city who make those decisions. And as Matt mentioned earlier, they are wonderful to work with. So if you want to meet them face to face, come for the mayor's breakfast.
He can answer questions for you. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you, Heather Graves Ramsey, for being a business person who ran the school bond campaign. And we are so thrilled that it passed, and it really is wonderful to see you in action and doing this for our schools, because the schools are important to our business community.
So glad that it passed.
Thank you, Heather, for all you do. Thank you so much for helping with the podcast. It's, this time of year we have to thank everybody, and you're definitely on that list. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And always remember that every day is a Chamber of Commerce Day here in Lake Oswego.
The Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce thanks you for listening to Business LO. We would love to have you as a member so you can help Lake Oswego continue to be one of the best places to live, work, and play. If you want to share an idea for a future episode or become a member, visit us at lakeoswegochamber.com, and please like and follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And for help with your business podcast, go to modcastproductions.com.